to build stuff, get together. Usually it's essentially a space where my wife would complain if I filled my house with a 3D printer and some other stuff, but 20, 30 a month or whatever. There's usually one there, or you and a few other people help chip in to have one. They all, there's technically a hackerspace here, or a makerspace, I think is probably a better term for the one here, at Mosey, but has very limited hours. And there is a group trying to start a 24-hour one, or at least their own office. And there's a few groups actually, but there's one that seems to be pretty close. Let me go ahead and pull up the ones trying to start here in Tampa. I believe it's TampaMakerspace.com, but it helps if I spell it correctly. I don't.
Cool music.
Thank you. It's to dull out the quietness here while I'm trying to pull up the site. I've actually had a post somewhat recent. They are pretty close to Tampa Makerspaces. They've already gotten their 501c3 status, I believe, and they are joined with Mosey to give extended hours for their tools that they have there, but they are looking for their own space. So if anyone is interested in helping them set up, they're offering $20 for individuals and $30 for families. And it basically gets you going to help start the makerspace here in Tampa. And it does provide extra hours and some other options like that. And I think it was TampaBayMakerspace.com. I'm not used to your version yet. MakerspaceTampaBay.org. Sorry. So if you are interested after my talk, definitely at least follow them on Facebook. Keep up to date with them on the website, whichever you prefer. I hate Facebook, don't have an account with them, so I have to rely on the website that's usually a day or two later than Facebook. Would have been easier if I'm not trying to get your system went, or
inserting my passwords in.
this one I don't really care about. You're not going to do anything too bad.
One for all.
Hmm?
One for all.
Start loading it up.
Start with Romans.
So, as you can tell, I've been to a few here. One closest is Sarasota, although that's not really a communal makerspace, hackerspace. It's more of a fab lab. You'll pay extra, but they have higher-end tools, CNC machines. They already have a laser cutter. The stuff only well-established, high-end makerspaces, hackerspaces could have. They got lucky. They got a huge grant. They're part of a couple $100,000 to do what they could. So they did pretty well, I'd have to say. And since they are the closest,
Where are they located?
in Sarasota,
The street is
they're within the Child Museum. I forgot the name of that.
the Child Museum.
It's like Mosey, but in Sarasota.
It wouldn't be
It's near Moats Marine in that area, I believe.
near Moat Marine.
But I could be wrong because I'm
It
not.
wouldn't be the old Selby Library, would it?
Don't think
Near
so.
the Van Wezel. I can't think of that anyway. Something like Gee Whiz.
Yeah, G-Wiz.
It's Gee Whiz. Yeah. Okay.
They're part of G-Wiz, and as you tell here, they have a couple different spaces. This is more the craft section with giant 60, good size 60-watt epilogue laser, which are always fun to play with. Soldering stations. They even had a random other stuff they're trying. On the right is big solar cell array, and even CNC sewing machines.
CNC.
So if you have your own emblem you want to do on a shirt or something, you're part of them, you can join in. Hello.
Wow.
Even vinyl cutters too, which
Wow.
are always fun to play with something on the sign. Yeah, I just wish
And is this-
everyone RSVP.
Maybe we'll get more people RSVPing, like, from now on.
I don't know, you other guys are gonna miss out on food.
Yeah.
Did you RSVP, William?
Technically.
Oh.
Technically.
No, but he.
I said, yes, I was going on Facebook.
Unfortunately, that wasn't part of it, and no one told me who was there on Facebook or not.
Sorry.
That's all right. So, I mean, they also have giant MakerBot machines and a bunch of other setups.
Well,
Plasma cutter,
Was there a milling machine?
yes.
There was a milling
CNC milling machine there,
yes.
and another one. Yeah, I think that one's full on CNC. And he was explaining on how to go through and
Oh, that's
how
why
it
we kept
works.
my voicemail.
Oh, you were calling me?
We were trying to call you.
Well, I don't think I got yours, I only got my wife's, but I was already in my talk, so.
Mm.
This,
Sorry?
alright, so,
Did you want to get some food? Oh, it doesn't look there's much left.
no, that's what we didn't RSVP.
Mm.
Just some lettuce, some grape tomatoes, some carrots.
It's
You
sort
can
of
get
like,
some sauce.
it's sort of like being a parent. It's better if the kids, that is, all the people that come to the meeting, get taken care of and feel special than the adult. Not that you all are kids or anything, but I do feel somewhat protective of you. Like, you're my people, so. But it's very nice of Texas. Has Texas Systems done anything yet?
No, they haven't. I
Okay,
tried
cool.
to talk first here.
Good idea.
Mm.
One of the first places I went to was Omaha Maker Group. They had a large section. Is this one? No, this wasn't it. Sorry. I've been to enough that I can't even remember which one I went to first. Most maker spaces had a large area for people to set up, get their laptops, talk. You see here on the far right was a MAME arcade machine they were working on, / media center, hooked up to a Raspberry Pi. The one thing I liked about them is most sections, and you can kind of see them, they had flyers for the different sections on what they were doing. So it definitely came nice. The new person coming in, you could see, oh, this is what this does. And here's where I should get some training from. So you weren't just thrown out there. And of course, you'll need lots of storage bins for everything, even from Folgers cups. Apparently, work really well for them for electrical outlets. Oh, and they were part of one of the Red Bull competitions. I don't know if any of you saw that on Hackaday. About once a year, maybe sooner. Red Bull sends out, basically does a competition, says make some, sends to certain hackerspaces, go ahead and make something. And I don't know what they win, honestly. Probably a year's supply of Red Bull. Obviously big on safety tools. These pictures are pretty much just taking everything that they have. Always lots of scrap parts. The one thing, Omaha Maker Group right there, nice big sign. They were actually in a bread bakery, like that extra space like a bread factory had, just downstairs. So I think they called, the Omaha Bakery Group, they called their studio the Makery, though, as part of the bakery.
I bet you there are a lot of breadboards laying around the place too.
Not too many. The interesting one about, because it is community, and you talk to a lot of people, the Omaha Maker Group was huge on I can't even think of the word, little quadcopters or tricopters, or I think one even built one with 5 multi-rotors, yes, effectively. I mean, some even had like HD camera hooked up to it, so you could actually fly as if a point of view for it. It was pretty cool to go through and see them crash it while I was wearing the camera. And this place was, they definitely had the area filled up, and they could have probably gotten more from the bakery, but it was what was needed at the time. One of the things, especially they were one of the first few I went to, I asked them, because we were looking to start our own and doing the 501c3, they didn't see it was worth the protection you get for it. I've
They said
given,
it was not worth the protection again?
Not for
Or they
them.
weren't sure?
they weren't, they didn't wanna, it wasn't, the extra effort that, to put in it wasn't worth it for
It's
them.
not easy to get, and it's expensive.
Yeah, it can be, for sure. Yeah, at least by the state, you can do a nonprofit. If you're going full 501c3, it's a little bit different. But I don't even think they even had anything at the state level for themselves. But, you know, it's each their own and what the group wants to do, because if no one wants to maintain it, no one wants to do whatever, there you go. I think in their case, they did have insurance, so someone was paying insurance, and that was basically his dues for the center, or for the group. And that was just a one-off exception in their case. Another early one I went to, Make SLC, totally ripped off Make Magazine's logo, but I didn't mind too much. In Salt Lake City, if anyone didn't know. They're also the people who built my Raspberry Pi case over there. Yes. They were also working on another type of 3D printer. Basically, instead of, most 3D printers do almost like a hot glue gun. They just have a hot plastic going around. This one actually did layer at a time, did a layer at a time, and they actually use a projector, usually a DLP projector, to harden the layer of resin. And usually it drops down. But for some reason why they didn't feel like doing that, so they actually had it going up and hoping the suction would pull in extra resin around the side. They were still experimenting with it quite a bit. At the time, they found the best resin was Rain-X, and they were still trying random other chemicals, and it was written in AppleScript, actually. Not just because the programmers wanted to play with AppleScript, and that was, all right, that's what they went through. And almost every makerspace has one of these. This is cliche, a RepRap 3D printer. And later on, that was the one that printed my case. And this place is really tight. Basically, like, it's a half storage. Basically, a guy wanted to start a museum. So you see a bunch of old computers just kind of sitting there doing nothing.
Trash.
Yeah, pretty much. One of each is one thing. 3 dozen is a different story. Oh, there's printing my case. I took a bunch of pictures because, hey, they were just like, oh yeah, what do you want to print? Here's a case for my thing. Okay. And of course, Thingiverse was still even more open at the time, so I just went ahead and found them and printed it out. And of course, lots of bins for a soldering section. It's definitely very helpful. Yes, more of my case, more of a case. I was pretty ecstatic at the time. I didn't even have done anything with the Raspberry Pi yet at that point. I had like downloaded an image and that was it, because I only had it for a couple days. Oh, and that's video, which we can play later if anyone wants to see. If anyone wants to see video. Let's see. So does anyone read Hackaday? So the one they all go to is Squid Fu in Springfield, Missouri, which is actually pretty cool. It's a half art house, maybe a third. So it's an art gallery in the front, and then towards another section they have rented spots for different artists to have their own area to build something, to keep it going. One of the hardest things for a lot of these places is space. So if you get the guaranteed certain section of space, and you'll pay more for it. A lot of people tend to like that, because, and a few others have set up different ways of, if something's left out for too long, they don't trash it, but they'll put like a parking ticket on it, like if you don't pick it up in a week, we're taking it, sort of thing. Yeah, not the best pictures. A lot of these are with my phone because I don't feel like carrying more stuff while I'm traveling. But they had a pretty cool section in the back with different metalworks, woodworking stuff. They had a huge cloth section. Apparently Nintendo was paying them to work on a commercial or something, or a few people there. And also at the same time, I don't know if I got pictures of it, it was released somewhat recent. One of the guys was working on the fire-breathing plant eater from Mario. And I went there 3-4 months ago. Yeah, around December, so 6 months ago. And they finally released it on Hackaday last 3-4 weeks ago. And apparently they were producing suits for all your favorite Nintendo characters. Yeah, Squid Fu Art Gallery and Studio and Hackerspace. It's a pretty cool spot. That was the Minotaur from, some of you might remember from one of their things they went through. Let's see. Another spot I went to was slightly different. They had a different cause, Tacoma Fab Lab. They were a makerspace, but they were more industrial, I guess. They were looking for school students. They charged more, but they had some good stuff. They had a pretty large epilogue laser, but they were still pretty open for people to come in. They even had some professional 3D printers instead of just the like kind of the homemade kit things that you see nowadays. Again, more resting areas, communal, with a lot of different stuff they made from using the laser cutter. And I do have a couple things over from them. I have some chips that they've made, along with, as you saw the first picture, my phone, which they thankfully destroyed a bit, but you know, put their logo on. And they actually use these resources to help get stuff out, so to help make extra money because they weren't breaking even yet. Was they were making these boxes for local businesses, so, and these would have scenic stuff, touristy stuff, people coming by of whichever mountain coming through. That was a Sterling engine, which I'm always a fan of, and there's the 3 different 3D printers. You know, the professional one here on the side. Even more pictures, different metal work. I have all these posted, and if anyone wants to go through them a little bit slower, they can. Random riprap they had thrown up in a corner, because they already had 3 others, so they kind of left them there. And that was the outside. They're actually close to a really nice pizza joint.
And they're in a storefront, I see.
Yes.
Interesting location idea.
Whereabouts in town, or Tacoma?
Tacoma,
Close to Seattle, or?
well, Tacoma's half hour from there. It's downtown Tacoma, pretty much. Yeah, pretty close to downtown Tacoma. Yeah, they also make coasters and other things. Found stuff to do. There was one guy who was coming in, and he was making specific coins for veterans, World War II, World War I. They were really interesting, and the laser cutter actually had, depending on what strength, had a really nice 3D effect with them. He was still perfecting it, but it was, unfortunately, I didn't get to take any good pictures of that. Which was the last place I went to? TXRX Labs was the one I went to in Houston, somewhat recent. What was interesting about that one is they actually reminded me of, is that TXRX Labs? No. Houston. I went to in Houston, Heatsink Labs. They actually were in a storefront that really reminded me of downtown St. Pete. Pretty much long walkway, and the whole area was full of art, but they were pretty good about greeting people that came in, and basically willing to show it off. They had a full presentation of walkthrough. You have to go through these presentations first before getting to play with the fun stuff. Free Wi-Fi. They had a random LOL dialer, they basically call it. So you could dial a random number and it would play like Rickroll people or whatever else you wanted to do with it. This was kind of interesting. They had this is basically their microcontroller section, and they had, of course, the Arduino, the stamps, the PIC controllers, everything possible on the right. On the left, pretty much every single shield or many shields and attachments just to have fun and play with. Pulled them down, use them, did what you wanted, and then put them back up when you were done. No loafing. They had an issue with one guy who had set up to do a 3D print, and they do take a little bit of time, but not too bad. But he would basically leave and then come back 24 hours to pick up his print, still expecting it to be on the hot extruder bed, basically taking it up for 24 hours. They were also in, this Hackspace was also in the competition with Red Bull, and they made basically a bartender. And oddly enough, they had a scanning electron microscope they were building from scratch. Another one I went to, the one in Houston, they actually had one they got from Craigslist, but they weren't really doing anything with it yet. They had a huge epilogue laser, which you can see in the back left. Guy there was doing a lot of custom banjos, actually. Like banjo, like the frets and everything on that was there. He was using some type of weird soapstone. It was pretty cool. And that's a guy with Star Trek uniform. Figured, hey, that fits for a makerspace. Last one I'm skipping by a few that I've gone to. Last one I do want to go over is the TXRX Labs in Houston. A couple things. This is a close-up of a Delta printer, which is probably one of my favorite ones. Instead of having XYZ coordinates, it just had the 3 rods, which you see on 2 on the right and the left, and depending on which orientation was where they went. And it's a Delta configuration, what's referred to, and it's very fast. The only issue with those is more intricate in the middle, less intricate on the outside. The steps get further along. But if you look at any high-end production, in factories, they tend to use Delta printers because they can pick up and move stuff very quickly. This place was huge. They had like 1,600 or 16,000 square feet, something like that. They really didn't know what to do with it. This one guy pulled in a giant trolley car inside because he was working on it.
Sounds legit.
What?
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
Sounds like land's cheap.
Yeah, land was pretty cheap, and so this pictures of their opening. The one thing I liked about them, and almost all of them, all successful hackerspaces have done, is having an open house really once a week, and they have to have it set for a specific day. I was always good about emailing them ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be in town this area, and they're like, yeah, sure, someone will be there to open up, and most of the times I'm there on an open day, but other times not so much. The one in Houston actually does a full barbecue every Friday night. So they ended up paying, for a while it was just, someone paying for it, but luckily they've gotten enough expenses now they can use that. But so people just come to hang out and party, but still get to see the area. This one was pretty large. I had 2 or 3 different teaching sections, and they had giant whiteboards that they got from a school closing down, and projector. And of course a bunch of books. And forget